Hello, everyone. Welcome to Purpose in Parenting. My name is Jessica Israel, and this is a podcast for those of us who have found or are finding our purpose in parenting. Just a quick disclaimer, this is real life for real parents. So if you hear a child in the background, you hear some noise, we will not be editing it out. And the purpose is to really relate, to talk about the truth of what we go through, and to really just have that conversation amongst ourselves with others who can relate. So it may not be perfect, but guess what? Life with kids never is. Now, let's get into our new episode. So let's talk about screen time. I know this one is definitely going to get a lot of different opinions, but I feel like it's really a discussion worth having because I've looked on different message boards, parenting boards where people are a little bit vicious towards others. No, not a little bit, very vicious towards others in their parenting when it comes to screen time. Which, first off, let's stop judging other parents. What works for you is what works for you. That's something I'll also get into in another podcast because we can't keep comparing ourselves to other people and their situations or thinking that what works for us is what somebody else needs to do in their life and vice versa. So, screen time. I know there's been this movement of zero screen time, no screen time. I'm not against someone saying that their child is going to get zero screen time. That's fine. I mean, hey, if you're able to keep your child entertained and you have the time because you have someone else who's able to clean your home and do other things and watch your child so that, or whatever the case may be, that you are able to dedicate that time to just interacting with your child all day long and you don't need to get anything else done, or you have a home where there is a completely baby-proofed safe area where your child can play while you're just a few feet away, and they're okay with no screen time, then fine, that's great. But the reality is a lot of people can't do that. I think there's really a good way to have screen time. Now, do I think you should sit your child in front of a TV all day long and the TV's raising your child and you're not interacting with them? Absolutely not. But I think that if you're interacting with your child while the television's on, it can be really beneficial. Not everyone grew up knowing every nursery rhyme or things like that. And so having a show on where they can sing with their child and dance with their child can be really helpful for them and actually spark that parental interaction. Because I think we forget that the reason behind a lot of people saying no screen time now is because parents would just leave their child in front of the TV and they would have zero interaction with them. It isn't because the parents were there and they were interacting with their child along with the show on, teaching them different things, laughing with them, saying the ABCs as the song was playing on the TV. I don't think that was really the case. And also, it may not have been truly educational things in that regard because there is edutainment, as they say, but there are also really good things that can help you, like I said, interact with your child, where maybe you didn't know certain movements to the itsy bitsy spider, or the See the Bunny Sleeping song, or things like that. Maybe you never even heard of that still, but it will teach you different ways to interact with them. Or if the letter A comes on the screen, saying, oh, look, an A. Because also, not everybody has the resources, finances, or just the things in their home to show their children, the ABCs or their numbers, and they're relying on that television, on something on YouTube that's actually going to put that on the screen so they can point point it out to their child, or so they can show their child the different animals. There's so many different ways to really have a positive time with screen time. And I really don't think parents need to be judged for that. Like I said, if you do not have screen time for your child, that is perfectly fine. That is great that you have a setup in your life where you can just paint and color and go through flashcards and play with the blocks and everything with your child all day, and you don't have that. That's fine. But a lot of people really aren't able to. A lot of times parents are juggling a lot of different things where you have to do the dishes and maybe having that show on in the background and you're still singing along with them helps for that little bit. Like I said, I don't suggest necessarily plopping them in front of it themselves all day long, but interact with them as it's on. When people say it slows their development, not if you're interacting with them. I can say personally for me, if you think about the fact that most of us had to stay in the house. If you have a pandemic baby, you understand what I'm talking about, where you weren't going out. So your child wasn't going to necessarily get that experience with seeing so many different things as they normally would prior to all of this happening. The landscape of the world has really changed. And so I think we need to change the way we do things and our expectations and give ourselves a little bit of grace as well. I know I would look on the boards, and I actually had written a post on a board one time about it, telling parents, give yourself some grace. And it's not the worst thing in the world if your child watches a little bit of TV. It really is not. Obviously, like I keep saying, don't sit them in front of it all day by themselves where you're just kind of ignoring your kid now. That's not what we want. We want the interaction with the parent. But I had some parents respond and say, thank you. I really needed to hear that today because I just feel so bad, seeing all these posts about no screen time. And I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it wrong and I'm trying, but, I'm a single parent. I have to cook dinner. I mean, that's the way to have my child, happy and dancing, while I'm getting this done, and it's okay. It's really okay. And I think that we really need to change that conversation, not only to what works for your family and your situation. I mean, some people, they don't even have an apartment. They definitely don't have a house. They may only have a room that they're renting or that they're staying with family. And all they have is that room. And that little TV show could be what allows them to brighten their day with their child, that allows them to count and laugh and sing the songs. Sometimes my husband and I, what we'll do is we may put on, one of the radio streaming services like a Spotify or a Pandora or something like that. And, we will have some music playing on there. But that music is from the shows that we've had on, whether it be a Coco Melon or Super Simple Songs, something like that, where, I think it could be very helpful building those language skills, teaching your children different things, especially the songs that, you do movements with or counting or ABCs. But I definitely wanted to get into this because it's just something that I know you guys have probably all seen as well, where you have someone saying, no screen time, no screen time, we don't have any screen time, and then someone kind of sticks their noses up at it. It's just not right. If, like I said, if you're able to get away with having zero screen time, that's great. But not everyone's able to do that. And then especially when your child is not at that age yet where they can go and play outside in the backyard by themselves. First of all, not everyone has a backyard. Having something like that is really a privilege these days. If you have a home, if you have a backyard, take your kid outside as much as possible. But not everyone's really able to do that. You may be working from home. You may be a single parent. You know, you may not live in the best area. You may not have the access to certain parks or transportation. So you're making do with what you've got. And that's really important. So please do not make other parents feel bad about that. If anything, if you see that another parent is having their child watch a lot of TV, encourage them to engage with their child while watching that television show. Encourage them to count and sing along. Encourage them to point out the different things and say, oh, that's red. Oh, that's a purple ball. You know, that bridges that gap there. And I feel like it's doing a disservice a lot of times when you have, I guess I'll say professionals, but nobody really knows what they're doing in this game. We're all figuring it out, but professionals, quote unquote, when it comes to parenting, say that you shouldn't give your child any screen time. They never give that addendum. Well, we mean don't sit your child in front of the screen all day. We mean don't ignore your child. What they're doing is they're trying to tell you no screen time because they want you to interact with your child. They want you to draw with them. They want you to paint with them. They want you to play with balls. They want you to bring them outside. But again, not everyone lives in a great area where they can safely bring their child outside. And that's not to speak to their parenting skills. Economically, sometimes that's the only place they can live as they're trying to get themselves somewhere else. Not everyone lives in a house. A lot of people don't. Most people don't. Most people do not live in a house. Most people do not have a backyard. Also, many people, like I said, they're either a stay-at-home parent by themselves or they're a single parent and they've got other things they've got to do during the day. So they may have to put on a show for a little bit of time, or just having it as background noise to sing along with their child. It doesn't mean the child's just in front of the TV by themselves all day. And so, like I said, I really think that there needs to be an addendum to that instead of just making this blatant statement or broad-based statement that screen time is bad for children. I think it's the quality of screen time, and are they just sitting in front of it by themselves, or are you interacting with them? And I think that if we gave parents a little more support in that area and a little more encouragement in that area, it would actually be really beneficial, because a lot of times guilt stops you from moving in certain directions and shame. So if TV is a part of someone's life, then encourage that parent to just, interact with their child and sing along. We know all the songs to all the shows. I mean, I sing them myself when I'm in the shower. I've actually laughed at myself for that. I'm like, goodness gracious, what song am I singing? I literally sing children's songs all day. And I sing them with my son. I sing them by myself because I hear them all the time. And like I said, I think we just need to think about that just a little bit differently, because every situation's different. Like I said, if you're able to be outside all day, that's great. That's my dream. I would love to have a huge property and have unlimited funds where I didn't really have to think about anything, didn't have to get any other task done, and could just be playing outside all day safely with my child. That would be great. But we don't always have that. Not everyone has the family support of, the parents that can watch them, interact with them, or when I say parents, meaning grandparents and other things like that. A lot of people, they're either by themselves or maybe they live in a state where they have no family. Maybe they're a military family where they don't have anyone else nearby. So really take those things into consideration before we kind of throw those stones or shame other parents or make them feel like that they're doing something bad. Because trust me, there's a lot worse that can be done. I said, what I do is I encourage engaging in it with your child because, it'll also help you learn certain things, and it's good to know what's out there. And that's really, really important. And some people, they didn't grow up having their parents sing with them or sing nursery rhymes or things like that. And so this is an opportunity for you to be able to learn those things. And then guess what? You can turn off the TV later and then sing it with your child on your own. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast today. I really appreciate the support. If you would like to get in touch or stay connected, please visit us on our Twitter or Instagram at Purpose in Parent. Also, if you're interested and would like to send a personal donation, because this is a labor of love, my Cash App is Torah Blessed, TorahBlessed. Thank you again so much for the support, guys, and I really look forward to chatting again next time.